Well, hello everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope you are awesome. We're getting ready to record already episode 112. Mike in the Midwest here for the patrons of the Be Our Guest podcast. Oops, I got something on my hat. Maybe it's on my screen. Nope, it's on my hat. Huh. I'll get it off later. All right. Let's do this. Today we're talking about back to school from a teacher's perspective. Back in the day when Mike used to be a teacher before 2017. God, I can't believe I've been out of the game that long. Craziness. All right, here we go. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Mike in the Midwest. This is episode 112 of the mini podcast that is made exclusively for the awesome patrons just like you of the Be Our Guest podcast. We're recording the show on Tuesday, August 30th, 2022, and I hope you are doing outstanding. Remember who used to say that in the Disney podcast community? Every podcast opening, it would be outstanding. Remember who that was? Yes, that was Mr. Matt Hochberg over at WDW Today. One of my favorites back in the day. I've been around a long time to remember that one. Maybe you have too. Maybe you've come around since WDW Today went away. But those to me were the good old days of Disney podcasting. And it's funny, they did 3 shows a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. On Wednesdays, you always got listener questions, and they had panel shows. I wonder what show I used to really enjoy listening to and maybe modeled a little show called the Be Our Guest podcast after, but they were the best and I loved them. It was Matt, Mike, and Len. But I always thought Matt Hochberg did an outstanding job himself of hosting the 4 gentlemen and keeping everything on track, making everything fun, and just making it an enjoyable listen 3 times a week. So shout out to Matt Hochberg. He's probably on a Royal Caribbean ship somewhere today. I know he is. I've seen him on social media, but just a good guy. Met him in person a few times. Nice guy all around. Anyway, glad you're here. And thank you as always for your support of the Be Our Guest podcast. You allow me to put out our show as much as we get to do. I know most podcasts go out either bi-weekly or, once a week. We are so blessed that because of your support, we get to put out 4 shows every single week in your feed. Every week, you're going to get a show on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Most weeks, you're going to get one on Thursdays, as long as there's not some kind of a holiday or some kind of vacation that we're traveling with on Sundays. And then on Sunday nights, we do the live call-in shows. So we're with you in a way almost every day of the week, because Sunday nights, you can call in. Tuesdays, you get Mike in the Midwest if you're a patron. So really the only days we don't bug you at all are Saturdays. You can stay clear of me on Saturdays. That's the thing. And speaking of Saturdays, college football starts this weekend. So that's a good thing. I'll just be watching college football. I'll be excited for that. But anyway, let's get into what is going on. It's kind of formulaic here on the show. We have 3 big parts. So let's start off with what has been going on this week in the Be Our Guest podcast studios in my life, what has been happening around here. And it has been busy. But this week on the shows, you're going to get to hear, again, we're excited. The OG crew is together on Wednesday show. So tomorrow for the listener questions, it's just going to be Pam and I for that show. And then Ricky joins us for the Friday show. So for Friday, it's Ricky, Pam, and myself. So, and then you're going to get Scott on Thursday from the replay of Sunday show. So you're going to get all 4 of us within that span of 72 hours, which makes me happy because I love having everybody on the show as much as possible. But I do think that 4 of us on the show is kind of hard within like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I don't think everybody gets a chance to get their say. So we try to keep it to at least just 3 people at a time and rotate around. But of course, tomorrow you're going to get the listener questions. We had some great questions. So hope you enjoy that show. And then on Friday, just so you know what's coming, if you missed the podcast recording on Monday, we are talking about upgrades that are worth it on Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney World, some extra experiences where even somebody like me, and if you've been listening to the show for any length of time, which I'm guessing you have, you probably know my habits pretty well. I'm cheap. I will say that. I try to be very frugal with my money. I try to make sure that where I spend it, I'm getting a good value. I try not to buy things that are, let's say, expensive for expensive sake. I try to make sure that if I'm going to buy something that is expensive, that it's going to last a long time. Like when I bought my first Jeep I bought the Jeep that I have now, my vehicle. That was my first personal car that I bought new. And I bought it in 2012. And it just killed me to buy a new Jeep because I'd bought a used one before that and drove that thing for 10 years, even though it was used. This thing I bought, new in 2012, and it's still like brand new. It killed me to pay all that, but I'm getting good value out of it. It stayed together. I've taken good care of it. It's a good vehicle. So it's one of those things we talk about that on Friday's show. Where can you spend maybe just a slight bit more money, which I hate doing, but because you spend a slight bit more money, you have a much, much better experience all around. That extra money spent just that little bit more gives you a way better experience, whether it's more space, more privacy, a better view, what have you. It gives you high value. So we talk about that on Friday. And then what I want to do with that, if you guys will be around this weekend, if you're not out on the lake or out on the river or doing something, hoity toity, or out at Cape Cod or something up in New England. If you're hanging out on Sunday night and don't have anything else to do, spare an hour and hang out with Scott and I and give us a call for the open line. It's you, me, and Scotty G. And we're going to continue the conversation and make that list that's kind of long on Friday, expand it out and talk about your ideas where you have paid extra here and there on Disney trips. And you think that, man, that was a great, great value. I spent a little extra, but man, that was 100% worth it. So give us some feedback on Sunday night. What do you think of our list from Ricky and Pam and myself? And then we'll get Scott's thoughts on Sunday night. And then more importantly, your thoughts on Sunday night. Anything else you want to talk about? I love Sunday nights because we open up the phone lines. It's totally your show. You want to come in with a mini trip report? We love to have you. I feel embarrassed because I know a lot of folks want to come in and do trip reports for the Monday shows. I'll be honest, right now we're booked into April of 23 for the Monday trip reports because I never turn anybody away. I love having people. And if you're going to ask and take the time to come on the show, I'm going to say, come on, let's talk about your trip. That's important to me. But because of that, I can only record one a week. Right now we're booked into April. But if you want to go to the top of the list, just call on a Sunday night, and tell me about your trip. If you just got back, where'd you stay? Where's your best restaurant? How are the parks? Stuff like that. So Sunday night, join us. We'd love to have you. What else is going on around here? So Mallory, let's just talk about what's going on. Mallory had her first junior varsity high school cheerleading game last night. That's why we recorded the podcast a bit early because her football game last night on Monday was at 7:00. So we shifted everything up about an hour. And it was really exciting for a dad. Let me just say this because Paige, my older daughter, who's now 26, she was a high school athlete, very good athletes, and I coached her in a lot of sports. She was a soccer player, a softball player, a basketball player. She played all the sports. Mallory, not so much. Mallory's been a cheerleader and a competitive cheerleader. It's called all-star cheer, where, it's high-level cheer. It's very stressful. But now she's, I can't believe it, she's in high school. And so this was her first high school cheerleading football game. She had to be there for the JV football game because she's a freshman now. And so we have been going to all these football games at our local high school. And it's a big deal in our community to go to the high school football games and to be in the stands and see her in the school uniform, the cheerleading uniform and the school colors and, doing the fight song cheer and out there at halftime on the H at the 50. It was pretty emotional for a dad. I mean, because I'll be honest, like I was into high school sports. I played baseball in high school. I played basketball. I was in everything in high school. I loved high school. And I don't have any sons, and I don't regret that I don't have any boys or anything like that. I love that I'm a girl dad and I have two awesome daughters, the best daughters ever. But like, I see all these other dads and like, I don't have a son on the football team or anything like that, but I have a daughter who's on the sidelines cheering, and I'm just as proud of that. I was there, my hat that says Howl Cheer. I had on my jacket that says Howl Cheer. I'm all in supporting the Howl cheerleaders because that's what my daughter is. And it was a proud dad moment. So I got that first kind of choked up moment there watching her get to cheer, but that's going to be an exciting time. And then this Friday, so let me just tell you about this week. This is like the best week ever coming up. And I'll tell you why I'm fighting through something, and I got to get through this here in the next couple of like day or so, because this is kind of being a drag. But on Thursday, you guys know what a big Mizzou fan I am. Mizzou, Dennis. Mizzou kicks off their football season not on Saturday, but they kick off on Thursday night. So they'll have a little primetime TV action against Louisiana Tech. And this year we've been season ticket holders for years, but we always sat on the grass. We got the cheapest way to watch all the games. You don't get a seat, you just had a ticket. You would sit wherever you could find some grass on the one end zone. If you ever watch the football games at Mizzou, there's a big M that's made out of big white boulders, and all around it's just a grass hill. It's called the hill. And so we would just sit on this hill. We've been sitting there since Mallory's been born. So basically for like 15 years. The thing is, Pam and I are, in our upper 40s at this point. It's really hard to sit on this hill for like 3 hours at this point. It's a very steep pitch. And it really does kind of hurt your back and your rear end and everything. Cause I mean, you want to slide down the hill. It's steep. It's not very comfortable. Like it's good for kids, not great for older, getting older adults, especially after you run all morning. It's like I could barely get up. We'd score a touchdown. It'd take me 10 minutes to get up to stand up to cheer. Anyway, this year, my brother and sister-in-law are alumni and donors to the university, and they got a sweetheart deal where we could upgrade. Speaking of upgrades, we could upgrade our Hill season tickets to, now we're not getting anything fancy, to bleachers. So we actually have seat numbers. Now we don't have backs or anything. We just have a metal bleacher that we're sitting on, but we actually have assigned bleacher seats. We'll have a metal bleacher to sit on this season. And I have never been more excited to have a seat assignment, because now I know exactly where I'm sitting for every game at the zoo, and we'll be there on Thursday night. So if you ever want to watch the game, it's on ESPNU. It's the Tiger Stripe game. So every other section will be gold or black. We're in the black section, so I'll have to wear black at the game. So will Pam. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's another exciting. I just love college football. College football, it's the football. I do love the football, but I love the whole experience of it. I love the bands. I love the pageantry. There's going to be a flyover every game this year for Mizzou. I just love the traditions. We do the Missouri Waltz at the end of the third quarter. That's just something we do. Our fight songs. It's just great being there. It's great because we have to drive out. Mizzou is about 2 hours from where we live. So it's kind of a pain in the butt on a Thursday night, right? Because the game starts at 7. College football takes forever. The game won't be over till 10:30 or 11. Then we got to drive 2 hours home. So that I've already decided Friday morning, not running, not doing it, because I'll be exhausted. I try to run every morning. Friday morning is a day off. Can't do it. So, it's just one of those things. It's awesome, but it takes a lot of time. But I'm just so excited just to get back to Mizzou, to get back to Columbia. Everybody comes in and just kind of get to see Truman the Tiger, our mascot. It's going to be fun. But then, okay, so that's going to be fun on Thursday night. But on Friday night is our home opener for our high school football team. Now, our high school football team kicked off on last Friday on the road. We played a crosstown high school, and we crushed them 45-0. They're a pretty decent team, but we scored a touchdown on the first 2 plays of the game. 14-0 within like 30 seconds. So we knew it wasn't going to be very close. But we're playing a team that's really good this week. So I'm a little bit nervous because they lost. They'd won 37 home games in a row, and they lost last week, their first home game in all that time. So they're going to be a little bitter come into the H, because they're coming to our school. But it's Military Appreciation Night and First Responder Night. They're expecting between 3,000 and 5,000 spectators for this football game. It's the biggest game of the year. Let me tell you, this is a high school football game. Let me just tell you what's going to happen. The football gets dropped in by a helicopter. The game ball comes in by a medevac helicopter. The helicopter lands on the field at the 50. Boom. The guy gets out and hands the football to the ref, and that's the football they use for the game. There's a jet that flies over the football stadium, a flyover for high school. The football team gets brought in from the high school because it's across the parking lot. They come in with the Patriot Guard, which are all the guys on the Harleys, guys and ladies on the Harleys with the flags on the back. So they come in, and there's so many Harleys that they circle the entire quarter-mile track around the football field. And you think I'm lying? I am not lying. There's going to be a live stream of all this, and if not, I'll be on my Instagram. So follow me on Friday night. This will happen about 6:30-ish Central Time. I'm not kidding. Watch my Instagram. I couldn't believe it the first time I saw it a couple years ago. And then it just goes crazy from that. It is insane. And then we have this crazy game. So Friday night is going to be awesome. Saturday, Bama kicks off. There's a college football on Sunday. This weekend is going to be just awesome. I'm so excited, as you can tell, because this is my time of year. And the Cardinals are just killing it, too. I mean, on top of that, Pujols, chance at 700 home runs. The guy is amazing. Adam Wainwright just keeps amazing. He's old. Old dudes doing stuff. I mean, it's sports heaven right now. I mean, Mizzou is 0-0 right now. Like, we could win the national championship at this point. I mean, who says we can't? So anyway, thanks for indulging me with my little sports talk, but it's a good time of the year. But here's the thing. I've been fighting these migraine headaches, which I've been getting for the last 15 or so years, and I have medicine for it. But man, I've been fighting through them something fierce this week. So I hope you don't notice it on the podcast this week. I took my prescription and I tried to fight through it on Wednesday and Friday, and I'm trying to fight through it today. Because I never wanted to affect my performance at the travel agency or here on the shows. So I just wanted you to know, though, man, I'm fighting through it, but I want these to go away because I want to be able to enjoy this amazing, amazing week. So for all those people out there that are fighting through anything, man, I appreciate you because I know how hard it is because I'm going through it right now myself. All right, let's hit the feedback from last week's show real quick. Last week we talked about Mike in the Westplex, and that's kind of the area where we call where we live. St. Peter's, Cottleville, Weldon Spring, O'Fallon, this part of St. Charles County where I live that I just love. I talked about the reasons why I love where I live. And I asked you, like, what are the little things about your area that you just love? So Dennis, my good friend down in Texas, commented. He says, thanks for thinking of me after the storms and flooding in the Dallas area. Although we got nearly twice as much rain in one day that we usually get all summer, my family and I are fine. There are a lot of roads covered in mud and the local nature preserve flooded, but that is the worst of it for me. I understand how weird it is for you, how weird it is with your daughter going to high school. My youngest also started his freshman year in high school, and my oldest started his freshman year of college. This has been quite the adjustment. Tell me about it. It's crazy. And I saw your son going off to college. Congratulations, Dennis. As for my city, Plano, Texas, is usually voted as one of the best places to live in the United States and is the corporate or regional headquarters for Frito-Lay, FedEx office, and Pizza Hut, among others. Man, we had Pizza Hut for lunch on Sunday, and it was so good. And Frito-Lay, I love their products. Oh, yeah. I love my neighborhood because I have a great nature preserve to walk my dogs and run in just about 2 blocks south of here. It also hosts the Plano Balloon Festival each fall, and there are usually dozens of hot air balloons flying overhead when it happens. In addition, there's a local great park and elementary school around the block. It has been a great place to raise a family. God, see, I love hearing that. Like, when we think about the blessings in our life, I don't think a lot of times we think of nature preserves or good schools, things like that. Being able to have like a festival that is really cool in our neighborhoods, within walking distance or, a short drive. Those are blessings. Dennis, I'm so glad you have all that in your area. That's super, super cool. Plano, Texas. I'm almost positive. I'm trying to think if it was Plano. I used to speed skate against a guy named Chad Hedrick, and he won all kinds of medals ice speed skating because he switched over to ice, but he started as a roller skater inline. And he used to just kill us in the early 90s in speed skating. But I think he was from Plano, Texas, and his parents owned a bunch of roller rinks, or at least owned one roller rink because his parents owned a rink. And I want to say it might have been in Plano, maybe Spring, but I think it was Plano. If let me know. Len, my good buddy in Maryland, says, well, he has 2 comments. My opinion on podcast length is the longer, the better. Since I listen by downloading the podcast, I can always pause when needed and continue later. I appreciate that, Len. These are kind of hard to go long because when I'm by myself, it's hard to keep talking that long. And he also continues, my wife and I have been in our large 4-bedroom house since 1995. We are empty nesters now, so it is a bigger house than we currently need. However, I love our location and expect we'll only leave when climbing stairs becomes a problem. I love the location so much, I suggested a solution to that problem would be to add an elevator to the house. The reason I love the location, 1, an 11-mile bike trail right outside our house. Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome. 2, access to incredible transportation. BWI Airport's only 1.5 miles away. BWI Amtrak station is 2 miles away. And light rail to Baltimore is only 3/4 of a mile away. And 3, access to 2 big cities with Baltimore 10 miles away and Washington, D.C. 35 miles away. And number four, most importantly, both our kids and our two grandkids are within an hour's drive. Len, you're blessed, right? Two awesome cities. You have transportation to go anywhere in the world right there. You're there, and and also access to your trail systems like that for exercise and just to get out. And then I think the most important thing is family. Like my family, I'm not super close to my family. Like I'll see them, whenever I see them, I'm most close to my dad. But my wife, she's super close with her family, and they all live right here. And there's like people are always like, when are you going to move to Florida? It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen for me because she is never, ever going to move away from her parents and her sisters. It's just how it is with her family. It will not, because I've brought it up a couple times and just I get shot down like it's not happening. It's like a World War II film. It ain't happening. She's got to be close to her family, which I appreciate. I love that she loves her family. Len, hope you're doing well. Have a good one out in Maryland. Trisha Helwig, my good friend up in Wisconsin, she says, playing catch up after a week-long trip in the White Mountains. I started listening to podcasts 5 to 6 years ago, and BOGP was the first I followed as I was planning a family trip to Disney World, a place I hadn't been in 20 years. I even remember submitting my first question clarifying early morning magic hours before COVID. And we appreciate people that clarify things for us because we miss them a lot of times. Thanks, Trisha. She continues. We live in Lake Country, midway between Milwaukee and Madison. If you visited here, you need to go kayaking or at least to the beach where you grab an ice cream cone. We are also walking distance from a local restaurant, Fooleries, Foolery''. They have a great deck for dining, and their French toast battered cheese curds are the best. I gotta stop. Let me say that again. French toast battered cheese curds. Oh my gosh. Trisha. Okay, so we went to the Dells for cheer and we just stayed at what's that place called? That big it's like a chain, I think. Oh my gosh, what's that place? It was next door to Great Wolf Lodge. Because that was in the parking lot. Oh, it's like the Big Kahuna or something like that. Kalahari. We stayed there. The competition was there, but I wish I could have explored the Dells more. We went to Moose Jaw, I think was the pizza place. We had the best taco pizza, but I wish we could have explored up there more. We got some cheese curds at a place and brought them home, and God, I ate those things forever. I've got a whole bunch of them. They were just so good. But Trisha, I am going to get back up to Wisconsin sometime because I'm telling you, the drive was gorgeous. I loved it up there. And so you live in just a beautiful part of the country. And finally, Madison, with our last comment of the day, says, hey, Mike, love the podcast and look forward to listening to it every week during my run. My husband and I live in a small cabin right outside of town called Dallas, Georgia, which is about an hour north of Atlanta. Since we moved here 5 years ago, our community has definitely started to grow into an Atlanta suburb, but there's still some small things around us that you don't see all the time, such as a local high school, which sits in the middle of some cow pastures. Yeah, gotta love that. That's a football advantage right there. In addition, one of our local favorite restaurants is in a cornfield. Okay. Our closest grocery store is about 10 to 15-minute drive. And while sometimes we feel we live far from everything, we still both agree we wouldn't give up the peace and quiet that we have on our private 2-acre lot. We also live 1 mile from the Silver Comet Trail, which is a 61.5-mile long paved trail that comes in handy during marathon training. High school football is huge down here, and both my husband and I miss being in high school and spending those Fridays on the field. He played for his school, and I was an athletic trainer assistant for my high school. During the fall, we spend most our Saturdays at my parents' house watching football. Since we don't have cable, we mooch off of them. Here's to a fun fall ahead. I know you'll hate me for saying it, but go Dogs. No, I get it. I actually today on the treadmill, I called my runoff short and I flipped it over to the SEC channel and just walked the rest of the way. And they were showing the Dogs against Michigan in the college football playoff semifinal. So they were crushing it again. No, you're the national champ, so you can go Dogs me all day. It's fine. So yeah, thank you for the feedback, and yeah, enjoy the fall, Madison. It sounds like you guys have a great place. I think I would go a little stir crazy being out in the country, but I also think I would like it. I've never lived in a place like that. I've always been curious how that would be, but I don't know because we're the opposite. I mean, literally Target, because like on Find My Friends, you can see like when my wife or Mallory or whatever, when they're at a place, I can see like how many miles they are. When they're at Target, they're 0.6 miles from the house, like from my couch when I'm sitting on the couch. Taco Bell is 0.8, Chick-fil-A is 0.3. So everything is just literally right across the divided highway from where we live in this big shopping area. So I can be there in 5 minutes or less. So it's basically like having all this stuff in my backyard. So while it would be awesome to have the peace and quiet, I don't know. Like it'd be fun to try though. I'd love to have it. And you're right, falls are the best. I can't wait. I've already talked about why I'm so excited for that. All right, real quick, the topic for today that I want to get your feedback on and just give you some perspective from my side of things is back to school time, because it is back to school time, but from the perspective of a teacher. What are teachers thinking this time of year? I know what kids are thinking. I hated this time of year when I was a kid. Before I'm talking a couple weeks ago, before you actually go back and when school first starts up, those first couple days of school. I was a kid that loved summer all year because I was a baseball player. We'd play wiffle ball till there were just dirt spots in the backyard. We'd wear the grass out. There'd be nothing left. And then once we did that, we'd play kickball, we'd play soccer. We didn't care. We'd ride our bikes. We were always outside doing something. And then as I got older, I had a Commodore 64. I played computer games. I could always occupy myself. I did not need school. Even though I was good, like I did pretty well in school. I got good grades, but I would rather not be in school, which was ironic because I ended up being a teacher. So anyway, remember, I used to teach. For those of the people that might be new, I taught elementary school for 17 years and stopped teaching in 2017 to work and travel full time at that point. But the thing is, I was thinking about this, like back to school. I do miss a few things about going back to school. One of those things is you have this week where you go back, and at least in our school district, in the Ferguson Florissant School District where I taught and where my wife still teaches, you have the first week back is without students, and we called it O week. It stood for orientation week. And what it was that week where teachers could come back, you're getting paid. There's no students. It's usually 4 days. You go back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you'd be off on Friday. And the kids would start the following Monday. So you'd have 4 days. This is basically where you had your back to school meetings. You would have like a big staff meeting where the principal would tell like the theme for the year, all the new policies and procedures. And you would have a lot of time to plan in your classrooms, but also you would set up your environment. You would put your desks back out. You would do your bulletin boards. You would set up your technology, your smart board, your LCD projector, what have you. You would, come up with a scheme of, what's your theme going to be at that grade level. Now, I've talked about this many times, but I taught sixth grade for most of my career, and I taught with my wife. That's how we met. So we were on a team. There were 4 teachers. It was myself, my wife, and we weren't married at the time. And then 2 other ladies, Jane and Rosemary, who were just awesome teachers. I mean, they were the best mentors ever. And we would meet actually all summer, at least a couple days a week, and come up with plans that when we came back to school, we were ready to rock. We came up, we'd dive into our reading books, come up with ways to look into the reading stories and come up with vocabulary, terms to teach, ways to teach grammar within the reading story for the week. Just we were in it. Like we were in it to win it. I love that kind of stuff, the planning. But then we got back that week, we really laid it out. We started coming up with like we'd start dividing and conquering. We called it during O week. So we would like on Thursday, typically, this is one thing that we did at our school. And I don't know if you do it at your school, if you're a parent or a teacher, or if you just have kids. But the thing is, one of the coolest things about where we taught, and when I taught there, this community loved our elementary school. Like the community loved our school. They loved the teachers and they supported us like crazy. It was awesome. But on Thursday afternoon, so we'd be in the school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, setting everything up, but nobody knew who was in what class. Okay, so like we knew as teachers because we had the class list, right? But we couldn't tell anybody when we told somebody, like the good parents, like secret, right? But the thing was, like, it couldn't be official until Thursday afternoon. And what happened was on Thursday afternoon, like at about 2 o'clock, the principal would take all the class lists and like post them outside the school so you could see like, does your kid have Ms. Bullington? That was my wife. or Mr. Rallman or Miss Perrin or Mrs. Timmons, and they'd find out like who their sixth grade teacher is for the year. And it was so fun because like I would go out there every year just to watch the reaction to see if kids were excited to be in my class or if they're like, oh, I got Rallman, no way. And I'd give everybody a hard time. I loved it. I'd go out there and just egg people on every time. I'd watch the reaction. Some of the other teachers didn't go out there. I did every time because that was just my jam. I wanted to know, are you in? Are you out? Do I have to win you over? Are you excited to be in Rallman's class? I want to know. But it was those cool things. And that was one of the things I loved about going back to school, was seeing the reaction and the community rallying together to be excited for an upcoming school year. And even if somebody didn't want to be in my class, which I mean, it was kind of rare because the thing was I was the odd bird, right? I was the 6'3" male teacher in a building full of female teachers that are like 5 foot tall. So like it's just I was the outlier. So people kind of wanted to be in my class just because I was different. I wasn't a better teacher. Pam could teach the pants off me. So could Jane and Rosemary. But everybody perceived my class to be more fun, because like Rallman will take us out to play kickball if we get all of our work done or we have 98% attendance for the week. If everybody's here Monday through Thursday, Friday, Rallman will give us an extra recess. And I'd bribe the kids like nobody's business. I did things a little different. I would always try to, and I was more of a coach than a teacher. I was always trying to encourage. I was always trying to give speeches and rally my kids and, pump them up. The other teachers weren't into that as much. Like I was just like, oh, let's do this. Let's win. Let's be competitive, man. Come on, let's go. Let's win the food drive. Let's get the highest scores in the state testing. Why not? Somebody's got to do it. Why not us? So that was one of the things. My class was always different, but I loved O Week because it was optimistic. And that was one of the things that kicked it off. And then what was funny, the reason we posted that was because that evening on Thursday night was always meet the teacher. So a couple hours later, like we would, in between that, here was kind of the fun thing. We'd all go out to eat. A lot of the teachers would go like to a happy hour, not a happy hour, but we'd go out to eat like there was a place called Culver's or Kinrod's. We was like a little bar and grill. We couldn't drink or anything because we had meet the teacher. And I didn't drink anyway, but none of the teachers could because we had meet the teacher. So, we'd knock off at like 3:00. We'd go grab some dinner from like 3 to 5, and then meet the teacher was usually from like 5:30 to 7 or something. And you would have your total classroom set up. All the desks were ready. Every kid had their name on their desk with their books, and lockers were assigned, and everything looked perfect for all the pictures. I hated doing that. I'd pay Pam to do my bulletin boards and make my room look good because I hated that stuff. But the thing is, it was exciting because everything was ready to roll. And then that was the first time the kids got to see their classroom for the year. They would come in, you get to meet the parents. The parents were super supportive. You get to know a little bit about them. Now, it was kind of overwhelming because you had like 90 minutes to meet like 30 sets of parents. You're trying to remember everybody's names. I'm terrible with names. I'm trying to remember the kids' names, the parents' names. Everybody's telling me my kid has this allergy. My kid can't sit by that kid. My kid has to be close to the board. They can't see. My kid can't hear, so they need to be up close. Don't put this kid by that kid. This kid wanders out. I'm like, dude, write it down. So I had index cards. Like, if you got any kind of concern with the kid, write it down because I can't remember all this in 90 minutes. I'm not Superman. But it was just fun though, because the kids come in, they'd be high five because sixth graders, right? They weren't little babies. They'd see their buddies and they're in the same class and they'd be high five, and I'd be like keeping an eye on them because if you're high fiving each other already and it's O Week, you may be good friends, and that's a good thing, but I don't want you causing trouble with me, man. I like that you're friends already, but I got my eye on you already. We're watching you. But it was just an exciting time, right? Because it was optimistic. Everybody had straight A's at this point. Everybody's going to have a good year. And I love that. So that's what back to school was for me as a teacher. It was optimism. It was excitement. Then those first weeks of school were the same because I got to know a new class and I got to mold a new class into what I wanted them to become. I was I wasn't strict, but I was super consistent, and I was very, um, very regimented at the beginning of the school year. We had rules and we followed them to the letter in my classroom. I mean, we had a procedure for everything. We had a procedure for using the restroom. We had a procedure for turning in homework. We had a procedure for, all kinds of stuff. And we practiced and we practiced and we did this for like the first month of school, but it paid off because the rest of the year, we didn't have to worry about those things. They became second nature for my students, and it made discipline a lot easier the rest of the year because we didn't have to worry about that. Like, you knew what the expectation was. You either did it or you didn't. There wasn't any gray area. we'd practice this 72 times the first month of the year. There's no question how it happens. You've done it. So we did that stuff, and it was kind of boring, but it was also exciting because we would, take breaks and we'd talk about how we're a team. My classroom was two things we always were. My classes, my group of 25 to 30 kids. We were a family and we were a team. Those are the things. I know we have the other three classes and they're part of our extended family and we're all a team in the whole building. But in this classroom, in Rallman's room, we are a team and everybody is going to work together to make sure we all succeed. We all succeed. We're all different, but we're all going to succeed and we're all going to be a family. If somebody in here's hurting, we're going to do what we can to help each other out. It could be me as the teacher. I might be having a bad day. If you can help me out, that's awesome because I'm going to have some bad days. But there's going to be days you have bad days and you tell me, and I'm going to do what I can to help you out because it's my job to help you succeed. But I also want to succeed as a teacher. And it was awesome. So I do miss those things. Now, trust me, there's a lot of things about teaching nowadays that I don't miss because my wife comes home every day and shares her stories. And I'm like, whoo, glad I don't have to deal with that today. But I'm telling you what, I miss those kind of things because I had some great kids. I had a great school. I had great families and an awesome community, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But I do like that I'm on a new journey. I took a 180, total different field, total different profession, total different challenge. And I like that I'm getting to try that out too. So, anyway, here's what I'd love to hear from you today. When you think back to school, what comes up to you? Maybe you were a teacher. Maybe you still are a teacher. Maybe you're a parent. Maybe you have memories from when you were a kid, especially like those middle school years, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade. What do you think of? Drop me a line, okay? Because I want to share these next week. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. What does back to school mean to you? Because when I think of back to school, that's what makes me happy from the teacher's perspective. It was fun. And I love the lunches too over O week. We always went out to eat every day for fun lunches because we didn't get to do it during the school year. But every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we go out and have good lunches. But what do you think of? And I cannot wait to hear it. And most importantly, I wish all the teachers out there an outstanding school year. And I wish all the students out there a wonderful, successful school year. Have a good one. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.